Hello and welcome to the weekend debate. Got a sort of media theme to this. We've got a few lovies in here, they might disagree with that, but it's an interesting one. But I'm still going to obviously go through politics and other things and just see what people have got their views on. So as always, I'd like to get the panel to introduce themselves, starting with Nathan.
Hi, I'm Nathan Slack. I'm a student at Balcomine studying my A-levels at the minute. And
your A-level is in?
Media.
Correct, that's what makes the link, thank you. You've also got an incredibly interesting family and all sorts will come out in this hour. That will keep everyone listening. Kerry.
Hello, I'm Kerry Sharpe. I'm a member of the Legislative Council and a political member for the Department of Health and Social Care. But in a former life, I am a former lovey. I was a freelance producer-director making documentaries for BBC, Channel 4, ITV, making radio programmes occasionally for the BBC and writing for the broadsheets.
And you did BBC Isle of Man, right? 'Cause
I did when I moved back.
So I took the job for a while.
It just so happened that the BBC wanted to set up BBC Isle of Man, so I was in the right place at the right time to help out with that.
Wow. And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Theobald. I'm an actor and film producer. I'm a trustee and director of the charity Housing Matters and Teapot Trust Isle of Man, and I'm the chair of the NHS Independent Review Body.
And if it looks
familiar, an Arts Council member.
Oh, Arts Council, yeah. If you look familiar, Batman franchise, I believe. One of them, just
Batman
one of the things thrown in there.
And most recently Tenet.
Fantastic. Okay, well, starting with, and this is fine if you don't know anything about it or have any views about it, but we had a report from the Steam Packet. Now it'll land on your desk anyway. 94 pages worth or something.
Yeah,
what do you think?
It's landed in my inbox, and I have to come clean, Paul, and admit that I haven't read it yet. I'm afraid. I am a member of the Economic Policy Review Committee, and we are at the moment looking into the new Liverpool landing stage, which is not exactly the same thing, but I mean it's related to that area. So I can't say too much about that at the moment. But as part of my general interest, I will be studying that report.
Well, let's talk about the Liverpool landing stage. They're building it, and then they found that the new boat needs it's going to be too forceful on its propellers and thrusters and that sort of thing, and they've got to go back even for more money. This is quite one of those things you go, and you're kidding, right? You're kidding. They don't know what's going on, or it appears that the price is just escalating all the time.
Yeah, I think that's well known that this has happened. As I said, I can't go into too much detail at the moment because I am on the committee that's looking into that, and we will be producing a report after having taken evidence from the Department of Infrastructure. But it's tricky because, you could say, well, why didn't government look at establishing an improved ferry terminal at Heysham, for example? But people want to get into Liverpool. Mm-hmm. It's actually easier, I believe, for freight to go up to Heysham, get on and off. But people want to go into Liverpool. From what I understand, that passenger transit doesn't really make any money really for the Steam Packet. It's all in freight. So you want to transport people that you're not really getting much revenue from into Liverpool, and it's quite tight. And government was limited in terms of where it could secure land. It is a tricky situation.
I mean, that just makes it sound worse because, as you say, there's not that much money in the people, but my goodness, this thing is going to cost an arm and a leg, and Liverpool aren't paying anything, are they, particularly? It's an Isle of Man project. The government's bought the land, and the price just keeps going up.
Yeah, I think it wasn't helped by the pandemic, of course, because
nothing was.
If people can't work on the project, then that costs you. You could decide, right, well, let's just down tools and wait for a couple of years, but then you've got to pay compensation. Government is in a tricky situation and having to kind of balance things, but no doubt it will all come out in due course.
Okay, we'll come back on that maybe a bit. Jeremy, any followings on the situation here, the shutdown, the lockdowns, and also what happened with this report being made into the steam packet?
Like Kerry, I haven't read the report that came out yesterday. Obviously, it's of concern that the administration and the government seem to have a mismatch between themselves and the steam packet of what was going on, and that this was already 11 months into the pandemic. So that is of concern, and I would have thought that maybe that would have been sorted out by then.
Do you follow this at all in
I
politics?
don't really follow Manx politics that much. We don't really get taught or shown any of it, so we don't really know that much about
You
it.
see, that in itself is interesting. Come on, Kerry. He's 17. He's got a vote.
I know,
Come
I
on.
know. And do you know, I've said this before, we need to be teaching Manx politics in school. We need to be teaching Manx history in school. Why wouldn't we be? It should be a part of the curriculum, right from first year at primary school. Go in and say, Friday, all the boys are going to get jam and cream buns, but the girls aren't. Is that fair? And ask them, is that fair? Of course it isn't fair. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that inequality? Well, you could go to your MHK and say, hang on, it's not fair. All the boys are getting jam and cream buns and the girls aren't. The MHK could then take it to Tynwald. And this could lead to start very, very simple with them, but then each year just build it up and up and up so that they increase their idea of, well, why is Parliament here? What is Parliament supposed to be doing,
But 17, voting, back to this thing, are you going to put an X or two on where do you live? Which area are you?
Saddlestone, so...
Do you actually know what you come under even?
No.
No.
I mean, I voted last year for our local MHK, but that was...
Yeah, well, that's good.
That was about...
That was the Douglas South by-election then, I'm guessing. Okay. So, no interest? Is there any much interest at school, or do you think the vote counts, or what?
No, well, A-level you can take politics as a subject, but it's not really like, if you don't really know a lot about it, they don't really try and sell it to you, say like, oh, so because we don't know what it's about, so why would you want to take a subject that we don't know a lot about anyway?
So when I say steam packet reports, does it mean anything to you? It all goes over your head. I mean, you know there's weekly briefings by the government and things like that?
Well, yeah, but we haven't really watched the briefings that much, so we watched them during COVID when there was like the COVID briefings, but that was about it.
And did that excite you? I mean, were you made to watch it?
No, it's just the general sort of see what was happening. If we were still in lockdown, if we weren't, and that sort of side of it.
How do you get your news?
Normally,
I'll answer that. There'll be no doubt Instagram, Facebook.
What's normal to you at your age?
Normally, it's just like through like Snapchat, you get a message from someone saying, "Oh, have you seen this?" Or you just read it on Facebook. Facebook's the normal one that I think pops up on like Manx Radio, 3FM. They're all on Facebook, so we get all our feeds on there.
That is interesting. The radio stations and other outlets do most of their stuff, I think, for that age, don't they? On those social media platforms.
Yeah.
How scared are you? And
Well, I mean, we. Where are we at the moment in terms of media? We're at a stage where it's completely feasible that you could have created fake news footage of the destruction of New York, for example, and it could go out and it could look real. It could go out as fake news. It could create, all kinds of backlashes and everything. Where do you go to know that you are getting impartial facts? And it's a problem which is just increasing. I mean, if you look at Apple News, for example, on your phone, it's news that isn't created by a regulated news organisation, is it? It's created by a phone manufacturer. This is where, to me, the value of the BBC comes in, because the BBC is an impartial organisation, and that's why
that's topical
it has,
this week with them having such a bashing.
well, yes, unfortunately, yes, but in general, I do believe it does its best to uphold the principles of Lord Reith, who originally set out what the BBC was going to be all about. You know, impartial, educating, entertaining, informing. You know, that to me is your ideal public service media.
Yeah, but you still want to get a show commissioned. You want to make a film and get it, no doubt, some funding from places like that, don't you? How's it work for you?
It's extremely difficult to get funding from the BBC for just about anything. I think, as it is for most films work on sort of private investment. So that's where you would go to be able to get funding from.
Can you find resources yourself over here, or there was media funds at one stage? Or you might talk about that.
There was a media fund at one stage, and there is still a Public Accounts Committee report that is due to be published about that, I believe. When it will come out, I have no idea.
The business with the interview with Princess Diana, did that touch your psyche at all? This huge story, and I'm just fascinated to know, because I don't reckon it probably bothers you one little bit.
No, I mean, in school, everyone always talks about Princess Diana and all, the whole, how everyone was, obsessed with her. But now it's at the point that we don't know, you see it on the news every so often, and you walk in, and your parents will be watching something about it. Mm. But it's nothing like that we, follow, so it doesn't really, we weren't alive at the time, so we don't understand or really follow what the problem with it was.
But you're taking media, so I thought maybe there might be something more in there, but no. No,
well, the media we do in school is very much, we just analyse texts and very, magazine covers from the 50s and stuff like that. We don't really see any sort of media like this sort of thing with cameras or anything like that. We don't get to see any of that.
Hello, alarm bells ringing here.
So you're not actually making content. You're not learning to make content.
No, our coursework will be fit in front with cameras, but up till now we've never ever had to see or hold the cameras in school once. I seen the first camera the other day in one of our lessons. It was about the only time I've ever had any experience with one.
It's interesting because I did think that that's what media studies would be about. Analysing what's out there, but I just imagined that it would also be about creating content from the beginning and kind of tapping into, all the enthusiasm and energy that you young people have got, to get stuff out there. So I find that quite
university
surprising.
Or the college for proper? When I say proper, they've got cameras galore, haven't they?
Yeah, I've got all the cameras, but the course didn't really interest me itself. That's why at school it was it's very different. We don't have any experience or anything at all. It's very theory based on just analysing works out. We don't analyse any films or anything like that. We just analyse text.
Jeremy, you must have a thought on this. You're the arts council as well.
It depends how specialised you want to get. If you're moving into film production or television production, then obviously courses should be teaching how to make content and have a practical element to it rather than perhaps media studies. But I'm with Kerry that I would have thought that there should have been a practical element to a media studies course whereby you are creating content or you learn about the journalistic process. Is that something that would be interesting?
Yeah, we've had. I remember at GCSE we made a magazine cover. Mm-hmm. That was about as much as we did on anything to making media. We've never had to do any filming or any off our own stuff with cameras. It's just very
I don't want to get in trouble at school here, but clearly it's surprising, I think, all of us, that you're doing media, and the main thing that your generation will be doing is using your phones for making all your media on. Surely
that's coursework is meant to be with cameras. We're meant to be filming, I don't know if it's a music video or something like that, but up until now we've never had any experience with the cameras or anything like that. So
is that because of lockdown?
No, it's just it just don't start until the end of the year. So like I have one more year left at school, and I haven't yet actually done any proper like what I'd call media sort of like dealing with like cameras and all that sort of side of it.
I have to say that the reason I know you is through one of your teachers who connected us, and you sort of shadowed me around. Have you found that interesting?
Yeah, it's been more interesting with you than it has been at school. Like I enjoy more being with you than I do actually in school, because your side's more interesting. Like we spend, I think it's about 3 hour and 40 minutes lessons a week just sat in a classroom looking at text, and that's
okay. I will get you in trouble for saying more. Go on, Kerry, you're interested.
To me, this is where I think public service media, which the public are paying for through their taxes, at the moment, you know, that money goes to Manx Radio, the majority of it. That's, to me, our public service media should be working with young people like Nathan.
I want to do a whole section on public service media.
All of that, you know, and getting contact made by young people, which then they might find of interest. And you know, there's an election coming up, of course. So you know, for example, around the election, young people talking to other young people and maybe increasing some enthusiasm and getting the number of 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds up who go to the polls.
And this guy knows loads of famous people. He's famous himself. You can see him on the big screen. You go, whoa, there he is. Because it is. I found when I was a T-boy at Manx Radio, you have to make your own sort of, not luck in a sense, but you get yourself known, you get yourself in the right place at the right time, you can get something done. But you want to stay in the Isle of Man and do media, I understand, though. Is that right? Was that not...
Well, yeah, sort of, but then just don't really have that opportunity over here, and like we haven't been shown or told anything how we could get into over here, so I don't really think we have a choice. I think we'd have to go away if you wanted to.
That's so saddening to hear, so saddening.
Like if you wanted to take up like a career in media, we'd more likely have to go away and go to a university and go like across.
Kerry, say something.
Well,
give this man some hope.
I think that in an ideal world, which would be my world, of course, in my ideal world, I think government would recognise that everything, you know, all content that is made is potentially an advert for the Isle of Man. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, look at this fantastic view out here. Come on, you know, why? You know, you're making TV. Paul.
A one-man production zone.
But you know, isn't this great? Shouldn't we have daily Isle of Man news, which is filmed with this fantastic backdrop, and it's there on the internet, and anyone across the world can tap in and they can see what the weather's like, they can see what
more about
real life is like.
I want to do a section about the public service media. I think you particularly because you try to change things here, but why do you come to the Isle of Man, Jeremy, to live? I mean, they're busy with lots of filmmaking since you've been here.
It was quality of life change, actually. Right. So my wife was born and brought up here. I've been coming here for 10, 15 years, and we were of an age whereby living in central London was just getting difficult. It was getting crowded and noisy and polluted both in terms of noise and air and water, and it was we decided to up sticks and come back for her and for us to live here permanently.
And how did that affect your business? Because you have to be with all the movers and shakers, don't you, to some degree? Getting that next job, the next film.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been a problem so far. You know, it has, apart from the past year, been easy enough to get across and to have meetings. And I think probably now, because of the past year, it will be even easier because so many more of our meetings are taking place on Zoom anyway.
And what about, maybe we can do this in the next section, about production. I mean, we did have a fair bit going on at one stage. But
we made over 100 feature films on the islands in the 1990s and early 2000s.
And the future? Do you think there is one?
There's a possibility that we've been talking within the Arts Council about trying to set up a short film fund, again to attract professional filmmakers to the island, to make short films, and that would give opportunities for media students to be able to work as runners and get experience and training with working with experienced filmmakers. But that's in early stages. Yeah, we hope that will perhaps be launched later this year.
Get his phone number at the end of this. We'll leave it. This is part 1. Thank you for watching the Weekend Debate. More coming up.